Alright guys, this is the Street Fighter X Tekken Rehab guide, and I'm here with my tag team partner, Hack, and I'm going to tag him in. So let me get my boy Hugo.
Hey guys, Hack here. Thanks for the assist, Dre. I'm going to show you folks why Hugo's remain a powerhouse in Street Fighter X Tekken. So let's get into his normals. His normals are similar to what you've seen in Zangief. Okay, maybe his light punch just is, but his light punch, as you can see, has a whole lot of range and is extremely fast. It links into itself. It takes about 50 damage each hit, which is a huge deal. As you can see, I'm getting a whole lot of damage just from light punches. And let's get into his light kick, his standing light kick. Besides it looking real funny, he has a huge amount of range. That Boo has a big red hitbox at the end of it. And as you can see, I'm footseeing this character from half screen away if you look at the white line in the middle of the screen. His crouching low kick serves a similar purpose. The thing is that it's easier to cancel into his crouching medium kick, which actually causes a knockdown. As you know, for a grappler, a knockdown is a huge deal. His standing medium punch serves the same purpose as it did in Third Strike, meaning you're mainly using it as a footsie tool. His crouching medium punch is one of his only normals that can be canceled into a special move. So you're going to be using a lot for combos. So once you get your cross-up splash, you go into crouching medium punch, into palm breaker, and it takes a whole lot of damage, as you can see there. So, you know, standing medium punch, use it as footsie, go into crouching medium punch to get that extra damage in there, and you can buffer it. His standing medium kick is probably one of his most useless normals. As you can see here, it's mostly just to mix it up once in a while. I haven't found much use for it. It gets beat out a lot. But his crouching medium kick, which I'm going to get to right after this, is one of the best trips, if not the best trip in the game. I don't know why Capcom gave such a huge character such a great move, but it works in his benefit. As you can see there, I'm tripping this guy from almost half screen away. It's a great whiff punish. You should be opting for that all the time. And look at the damage on it. It takes about 140 and 162 on a counter hit. So yeah, mash it out, and it's totally safe. His standing high punch, on the other hand, it's a overhead. Probably another useless normal. As you can see there, you're only going to be using it to help with your chain combos. His forward hard punch is a situational anti-air, just like his crouching hard punch. If you can actually guess the opponent jumping out, you probably do once in a while. His hard kick forward and back is a drop kick, which is an overhead. But the cool thing about it is you can actually steer it in the air. So at the end of a string, if you think your opponent's going to be crouching long, just throw that out there. Here's his down forward kick, another great normal. As you can see here, it goes over all lows. Has no info frames, but I think he is airborne, so he cannot be hit by any lows. And besides that, on counter hit can be comboed into, and it's an overhead. It's an amazing move. I do it on wake up sometimes if I believe somebody's going to go for meaty mix-ups. It's just too good. I don't know why. This is another normal. I don't know why they give Hugo, but we'll find out soon enough. So his first special move is his moonsault press. As you can see here, it's just a regular 360 grab. Has almost no range, but you can use it as a reversal in the middle of the strings just to scare opponents. His next move is the meat squasher, which is a great move only because it helps with his running man mix-ups, and you should be using this more than your moonsault press in combos. And you can see here we have his monster lariat, which goes into almost 300 damage, and it has a hit of armor on it, which makes it pretty darn cheap. It could be also used as a focus attack, and the EX version offers for a lot of great ways to bring your actual partner in. His ultra throw, just forget it. You're never going to use it. I barely did. You know, offers good damage when you bounce off the wall. Just like his moonsault press, has no range. So you might want to stay away from it because he has so many other good grabs like the running man grab. And since you're going to be doing the running man mix-up, you want to stick to that a lot. His air grab, on the other hand, is really good. The normal versions aren't the best unless you can guess the opponent's jump or their normal suck in the air. You're going to be using the EX version of it the most, since it could grab opponents almost half screen away. It's just too good, and if you have a meter on stock, no one can ever jump at this character. It's actually really scary when you lock somebody down in the corner and they can't even jump back because they know that you have this air grab that catches anybody. His palm breaker, on the other hand, has a lot of plus frames, similar to what you see in Third Strike. It could be linked into his crouching medium punch. Again, takes so much damage. His super has a hit of armor on it. It starts up really fast, can run across the whole screen, and you can actually cancel it out by just holding the 3 kicks down. It's a great move. Honestly, you're going to be using his meters for his air grab most of the time because he takes so much damage. His cross art move, as you can see here, it looks like a grab, but it's not. It's actually a physical attack. So just keep that in mind when using it. You won't be able to get anybody with some cool ass mix-ups into their cross art move, but it's something to pay attention of. And as you can see here, I'm just showing what you can do with some cross rush tactics. Even get some tick grab setups. It's a little funky, it's a little cool. Him and Ed will actually work really well together. Alright, let's get into his combo. Probably his most practical combo, jab, 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 jab into trip. His next one is the Monster Lariat. Since you get the running grab mixed up on, you want to start to use this combo, which is Monster Lariat into jab, jab, into air grab. This is his most damaging combo, which is jump in, hard kick, crouching medium punch into palm breaker, into crouching medium punch, palm breaker into super. It takes about 600 to 700 damage. Oh my god. And there's no power gems activated here, people, so that's the combo you're going to be using to get that damage. I want you guys to take a few seconds to actually look at the combos here. They're not so difficult. The only thing I would want you to pay attention to is the Monster Lariat link, which is the crouching low punch. You should delay and do another crouching low punch and then cancel into SRK with low kick, which actually activates the shoot down backbreaker, the air grab. Really strong combo. Alright, let's get into Hugo's gems. This is something that I actually think is a huge deal with Hugo. I like using the Life Force gem at this point, and any power gem on Hugo will make him a monster. Just like any character loadout, you want to use the Iron Walls and Fortitudes or the defense gem since it's so effective early on in this game. But another thing that I was actually thinking of is the Divine Speed gems, which will allow Hugo to get to his points where he can cause the greatest mix-ups on knockdown. So this is something you definitely use for Oki, and once you get that far range trip and the opponent sees that speed gem, they're going to be scared. We're in the advanced section, so let's get into Hugo's spacing. As you can see here, I have King in the place that Hugo players want to keep their opponent at the most, which is the corner. And what you're going to be doing when your opponent is in the corner is matching a low kick into medium kick, which causes a knockdown if the medium kick connects. As I said before, medium kick is pretty darn safe on block, and he cannot hit it at all. And if he whiffs a normal, I can actually just trip him and go into my mix-ups. And then after a while, you're going to want to throw this knee and down medium kick, which on counter hit can actually be linked into a crouching medium punch into palm breaker, which causes a whole lot of damage. And if this Hugo player even dares to jump away, as you all know, he's going to get hit by this shoot down backbreaker. Takes a lot of damage. So keep him in this corner, and then once he falls to the ground, you start that mix-up up. You get that trip, you get that body press in there, and you option select into either a Monster Lariat or a running grab. So your opponent has to guess at all points. Since I told you the Monster Lariat has a hit of armor, it's hard for them for reversal, at least most reversals. And if you get the cross up, most autocorrect moves won't start up fast enough to get out there. So boom, as you can see here, anytime I get a trip on the character, I go in for that mix-up. So right now I'm gonna put King back in the corner and do what Hugo does best, which is footsie this character and try to stop him from jumping away. So as you can see here, once I get this trip on, I'm gonna try to go for a mix-up, and you have to mix it up. That's one thing players who play with grappler characters always go, oh, a grappler character is so slow, they suck, blah blah blah, because they're not training their opponents enough. So as a grappler character, you must train your opponent, so you have to mix it up at all times. And once you get one of those Monster Lariats to hit, you're taking them almost about 300 damage. And as you can see, Hugo's movement sucks. He's pretty darn slow, but he makes up for it with his mix-ups and his running grab setups, and his trip is almost half screen. So when you have footsie tools like him, you're not going to be needing the space that much. And like I said before, you're going to want to be mixing it up a lot. So right now, I'm going to show you the only use for his butt splash, which is to go into his chain combo. You should be ending all chains combos with this move, since a lot of moves don't have range when chained into each other. So that's the combo you're going to be going for the most part when trying to. And then when you get that jump in attack, you always go for the crouching medium punch and buffer that palm breaker in there at all times. You're going to give your opponent a lot to worry about, because all you need is one hit, similar to what Zangief was in AE and probably is in this title. Hugo is the same thing, just a little scarier, since a lot of his mix-ups involve him running at you at all times. So keep the pressure on, especially when you got the EX meter, so your opponent can never ever jump out. And everything causes a knockdown in the corner, and you can just keep going nuts. As you can see here, I'm using this focus attack tactic. Since he has armor on that move, you can actually charge it up, dash in, and go for a grab mix-up. Since your opponent's too scared to hit you, you can just go in for the grab at sometimes, or just let it go after he tries to hit you, and boom, you get a lot of damage. It looks pretty simple, and it actually is, but at the same time, it's super effective. As you all know, some of the most high-tier characters have the most simplest mix-ups. So like I mentioned before, the mix-ups you're going to be going for are the running grab or the Monster Lariat mix-ups at all times. But you remember, train your opponent. As a grappler character, you must train your opponent. And then once in a while, you know, just go low again. It doesn't matter. On their wake up, whatever you decide to do, his low actually beats out some DPs. Please don't quote me on it, but I've seen it stuff a lot of things. So go for that trip as much as you can. People are scared of that move, and Once you get them trained to be scared of all of Hugo's moves, he will become one of the strongest characters in this game, if not the strongest. Okay, don't quote me on that either. So as like I said before, Hugo doesn't have the best air-to-air, so what you're going to be using a lot is his jumping knee. It's probably standard. His jumping fierce is good if you're jumping backwards and hitting opponents out the air. Don't ever jump in with this character since he has a lot, decent mobility on the ground. Once you start jumping is when you lose your ability to catch your opponent out the air. But if you need to, you can use your jumping roundhouse in the corner to keep him there. His jumping knee as a great counter hit. So once you hit him with that jumping knee, and to get into the juggle state, you counter hit him with that crouching low punch, and you go into an air grab, which causes too much damage. I like Hugo, so I think it's fair. An ultra throw, something you'll never see again, so I'm just going to show you guys once. Ultra throw does have a lot of damage, output ability, but at the same time, I said most of his grabs suck besides his running grab, so only thing you'll be using is the moonsault press in setups, and once in a while, just to keep your opponent on their toes, you can actually throw out that super monster lariat, which in most cases is really good since it has a hit of armor unlike other supers, and it comes out extremely fast. As you can see here, Hugo's best place is to be the secondary character, and the combo you're going to be going for the most is the jab into the shoot down backbreaker. As you can see, boom, 227 off a simple chain combo. Alright folks, here's a short summary of Hugo. Hugo's whole playstyle revolves around the shutdown. Basically meaning his whole offense relies on shutting your opponent's offense down, and this is easily done by his EX air grab, which controls the whole skies, and a running grab mix-up, which stops your opponent from doing anything. Hugo is a slow-moving character, but the extensions on his normals make up for it easily. Since he can trip you from almost half screen away, it's pretty darn scary. And Hugo players should always have this in mind. Always have a meter on deck to scare players away from jumping. I cannot highlight this anymore, since your opponent, knowing that you have a meter, will never ever jump. Hugo players need to lock their opponent down in the corner and as fast as possible. This is the easiest way to start his running grab mix-up. Since your opponent's not going to have that many options to escape, putting your opponents in the corner actually leads to a lot of damage, and if they try to tech roll forward, and they might actually even lead themselves into the corner themselves. So keep that in mind at all times. Stay tuned for the end where we show you where we think Hugo's tier placement is, and some more tips that we probably skipped on in this video. Yo, Dre, I need some assistance. Get Rolento.
Alright, so we're going to do Rolento right now, okay? He's a personal favorite of mine. Why? Because he's a footsie character. Now, you guys see this button I'm pressing right here? That's called standing jab, right? And more than likely, if I'm pressing it, that means I'm out-prioritizing my opponent, and they don't like that. Well, too bad. I'm going to press it anyway. Anyway, stand jab, real great priority. Crouch jab, same thing. So guess what? You don't actually have to go into a land of confusion and choose which button. Just press either one. It's to your heart's desire. Now, let's get into his standing short. His standing short does the same thing as stand jab does, only stand jab and crouch jab have more range. Why? Because he has a pole in his hand, so guess what? Just use the pole. I'm not saying don't use the standing short. Again, just do whatever makes you happy. Anyway, his crouching short is Why? Because it reminds me of Bison. The only difference is he can't link it into itself. So with that, that's not so great because he doesn't get any combos for it. You have to commit to a chain, and chains aren't safe in this game. Whatever, you can cancel into an EX move, so just go with that. Now, let's move on to Rolento's stand strong, crouch forward, and stand forward. Now, as for his standing strong, oh god, nobody's beating that with a jump in. You jump in on this button, and just think of your next strategy because you're not beating it. It's a great anti-air. It rarely ever trades. Now, crouch B for Rolento is wow. This button is more than just amazing. This button counter pokes and has crazy active frames. Now, the cool thing Capcom did with this is that this button can't be canceled into a special move. So, if you're looking to counter poke somebody or apply a little pressure or give yourself a little space, this is the button you want to go with. Now, Rolento's crouch forward doesn't have the same range that his crouch B does, but it can be canceled into a special move. So, if you're looking to tag an opponent with a button and then go into a special move, that's the button you want to go with. Now, standing forward is a great whiff punisher and a great counter poke. That's what that button's used for. Now, let's get into Rolento's standing fierce. This button is just more than amazing, going almost double the length of Ryu's crouching forward, and it hits twice. It hits twice. That's crazy. Now, once Rolento throws that button out, I'm pretty sure his hitbox is nowhere to be found. Now, Rolento's standing roundhouse is a fairly decent anti-air, but can anyone say Bison? Oh yeah. So, just like Bison standing roundhouse in Street Fighter 4, you might want to go with standing strong because you might get beat out if you're trying to do a standing roundhouse. Just use it on the ground as a good poke. Now, if you're looking for a poke that causes a lot of damage and is relatively fast, as a whiff punish, you want to go with Rolento's Crouching Fierce. As for Rolento's Crouching Roundhouse, it's a slide. What more could you ask for? It causes knockdown, and if it's used from the correct spacing, it's safe. So what more can you complain about? Just don't use it up close, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because you'll get punished. And getting punished in this game means a whole lot. Now, as for Rolento's air-to-airs, his jump B is more than just amazing. Why? It puts your opponent in a juggle state regardless if it was counter hit or not. And putting your opponent in a juggle state means more damage. And it puts your opponent on guard. His quarter circle forward, any one of the punch attacks, will perform his Rekka chain move. Now, the first chain of this special is indeed safe. The light, medium, and heavy versions are safe. Now, here's the downfall to this move. There isn't one. The move allows for plenty of time for you to hit confirm into the second and third part of the Rekka chain, which are unsafe on block. So, you guys out there, if you're looking to tag your opponent with this move off of a normal, you can always hit confirm if it hit your opponent. So there's no reason to actually go past it, okay? So let's move on to Rolento's Stinger. Now, his Stinger is done by doing DP motion with forward, down, down, forward, any one of the kicks. Now, the light version jumps up a little high, medium even higher, and the roundhouse goes even higher than that. Now, when going up or coming down, right when you pass just about waist height of your opponent, you can choose to throw a knife by pressing any one of the punch buttons. Now, this command maneuver that you see me doing here, which is the backflip, is done by pressing all three punches. Rolento will hop backwards, and if you press any one of the punch buttons, such as the jab, he'll roll forward a little bit with a rolling attack, the medium version, which will roll even further, and the fierce version, which will go just about 75% of the screen. And it's safe on block, best part about it. But the thing is, Rolento can only do this move from that command maneuver. And you know what that means? If your opponent predicts it, he can actually tag you out of the roll coming forward. So don't get too predictable with it. So another command maneuver here that we have from Rolento is quarter circle back any one of the punches again. So this is the jab version, medium version, and the heavy version, of course. And if you press punch during any of them, Rolento will actually come out with a hopping fierce attack, which is resemblance of his actual jump fierce. So, getting into more of Rolento's command maneuvers, we have the wall cling here, which is done by doing quarter circle back like any one of the kicks. If you press short, forward, or roundhouse, he'll actually come off the wall at different heights and different arcs, and you're able to do any one of your air normals, which is really cool because it gives you a lot of air control there rather than being predictable with his other command maneuvers where you can only have one option. Now, this move is done by pressing all three kicks just before Rolento hits the floor. He'll actually hop off his pole and you're able to dictate which direction you'd like to go into. That's back, forward, or neutral. And after he hops off the pole, he's able to once again perform another air normal. This is really good as it gives Rolento a whole bunch of mobility on top of his already great movement. Now, as for Rolento's charge move, it's a charge version of his Rekka, which is the EX version of his Rekka move. Now, it carries the same invincibility it would as if you wasted a bar. So if your opponent's looking to attack you or you're looking to bait your opponent to swing, that's the move you want to go for. Alright, now EX Stinger from Rolento fires 3 kunais out. He also has the EX Retreat, which is actually invincible on wake up and goes almost 75% of screen after pressing one of the punch buttons. And he also has EX Wall Retreat, which is also invincible, and he's able to use this on wake up to get out of sticky situations. And he also has the EX version of his Delta attack, which I like to call it, which actually goes under fireballs and through them at times. Ooh, so just watch how I use that. Now, as for Rolento's supers, this super is really cool because it actually has invincibility to projectiles, but not limbs. So when using this, remember that it doesn't have a whole lot of range, so if you do react to a fireball indeed, make sure you're relatively right outside of sweep distance towards your opponent. Now, as for Rolento's cross art super, it can actually be used as an anti-air, as you just saw just now. So I'm gonna sit back and let you guys watch the fireworks basically. And as you just saw, it was used as an anti-air, and that's really good. I'm gonna show you an example of this just one more time. Oh, there we go. You see Ryu, full-fledged swing, and he was anti-aired right out of the park. I feel like I'm at Yankee Stadium right now. Ooh. Alright. Now, please guys, do keep in mind that with Rolento, most of his combo options are going to be starting off of his crouching jab and his crouching forward, and he's not going to be landing any big damage mid-screen unless you land a cross-up, or unless you found a way to push your opponent to the corner. That's where you're looking for big damage for. So you're going to have to keep a lot of pokes up with this character in order to land combos. So please do keep that in mind. Now, moving on to some gems that best suit Rolento are speed and meter gems. That would be the proficiency and onslaught gems when I mention meters. Alright, let's move on to some advanced tactics. Now, I can't exactly tell you how to be advanced with Rolento, as he is already an advanced character. Why? In terms of spacing and movement, and he's actually supposed to run safe patterns on you. You're supposed to be really in tune with Rolento's movement and the area in which your opponent's moving around to really get mix-ups going for this character. Now, Rolento's supposed to be all over the place. You're supposed to use his command maneuvers to just really go in and out, hit your opponent in and out, never be able to track where you're actually going to be. And this is what confuses your opponents to take unsafe risks, such as going for a DP, throwing out limbs that are unsafe, but you were never in the correct spacing to begin with. You were where you wanted to be. You also want to take advantage of Rolento's forward medium kick. Why? It goes over lows. Why? That shuts down your opponent from actually doing lows, and then once he stops doing that, you're free to walk forward and poke him with your stand jab. And the cool thing about forward medium kick is, upon hitting, if it hits counter hit, it actually connects with his crouch jab or stand jab into a combo. Now, Rolento has an interesting move here. This is down medium kick, or as I said, 3 kicks just before you hit the ground. Now, the cool thing about this is as I said before, you can change the trajectory of where you land. The pole actually hits the opponent, so they have to worry about being hit by the pole, which is, again, another poke tactic that will annoy your opponent. And with this, you're able to create all sorts of crazy 50-50 situations. Why? I'm poking my opponent here. He doesn't want to go low anymore. He's being poked to the ground. Now I grabbed him, and now here comes the pole mix-up. Am I either going to land on my pole, jump over you, cross you up, land on the pole, stay in place and go low, land on the pole, grab you? The world is mine. Why? Because I have the mobility. And everything leads into nice, decent damage. Rolento doesn't take a lot of damage, so you're going to have to be really, really on guard and really, really alert here when I say that you have to be accurate. You really have to be accurate with this character. He kind of reminds me of Yusin Bison. You have to pick and choose your moves. He's a really, really technical character. He just cannot be picked up overnight, such as other characters like, I feel, Jury, Sagat, characters that are kind of given the answers. He is not one of those characters, but mastered, and he is, wow. He's I feel, one of the best in the game. Another advanced tactic is jump back B, jump back medium. You can annoy your opponent with this, put them on guard, put them on alert that they can't get away with jumping in on Rolento. And the reason that you do this tactic is because your opponent stops jumping and they allow you to free roam in the air with your pole tactics. This is how you get your opponent to stop jumping. You jump off the pole, and when jumping off the pole, you can launch out your B, which puts them into a juggle state if they're hit, regardless of counter hit or not. That'll force your opponent to stop doing it. Now, take note, he has a really meticulous playstyle. It's all about hit and run. Do remember that most of Rolento's EX moves are invincible on wake up, so he is really meter dependent. So save your meters for nothing else but getting away from your opponent. Please also keep in mind that Rolento is a character that's meant to shut down, not look for easy damage. Alright? Because he's shutting down your opponent's options, that's what gets the easy damage off. So you gotta put in the work at first. And also, he has incredible pokes, and he has the ability to change his landing trajectory at will upon touching the ground with down, medium kick, or all three kicks. Increasing his mobility is the key. If you guys master this, you should have no problem winning with this character at all, and I stress that.
Alright guys, so now for the overview of Hugo. First things first, so much damage, plus a power gem equals OMG, not lying at all. Amazing normals, has the best sweep in the game hands down. The running man mix-ups, people don't know if you're going to do the armor move or the grab. Some of his cons, he has extremely bad movement and relies on EX meter to control the air. I think he's going to be high tier, honestly. One of the best characters to tag actually into since he takes so much damage. So if you have a good character with a great poke in the beginning, he's going to be doing some work.
The overview here for Rolento is his pros are he has tons of mobility, superior footsies, safe wake-ups, amazing air control, and he's a hit and run specialist. So guess what? You ain't touching him. His cons are though, his combo options are limited, he's meter dependent, and his damage output is relatively low. But guess what? He's still high tier. Why? Because if he doesn't want to get touched, he doesn't have to be. And if he stocks up on meter, guess what? You ain't touching him. So, thanks again, and tune in this Friday to our next Street Fighter X Tekken Rehab. Look out for it. It's called The New Age. You guys, I hope you watch this. I hope you learned something. And again, thanks for watching. Latest.